First, the demand for passports and other documents was seasonal and predictable from year to year. Second, a very significant number of passports were renewals. Third, demand was changing geographically, and Mexicans were increasingly dispersed in the US territory. The consular districts no longer necessarily corresponded to where the demand for services was growing the most. Some very large and other medium and small consulates were losing demand, while others were seeing very significant increases. We were also able to calculate the times it took to carry out the different processes for the issuance of a document. We managed to have a system that, without a large investment, by using practically free software, allowed us to have information on service times in each consulate almost in real time. So with all this information, we were able to take advantage of operations research techniques to generate a new uniform standard process that saved time. We were lucky because we had a very close and fruitful collaboration with the officers who run consular policy. And the director at the time moved heaven and earth to modernize the ministry systems so that we could take advantage of the findings that we had made. She was able to change the system so that the paper application was eliminated. She was able to eliminate the photo that applicants had to buy and bring in to the consulate, often at a cost that exceeded $16. We were able to eliminate the need for copies of documents so that everything was scanned on the spot. And that way, the user just had to bring the original documents. In addition, the project happened at a time when the government was developing other significant projects that allowed linking the ministry system with other systems for birth certificates, for example. And this allowed that within months, it was no longer necessary to struggle with old paper birth certificates. These could now be verified from the operator's screen. Better machines were purchased to print the documents, greatly reducing production time. And with all this, we were able to launch what we call the integral window, or the single window, in which the entire process was carried out. So no more steps for the user. The user just arrived at the consulate. They reviewed the user's appointment. They gave him a turn. And when he arrived at the window, everything was done in a single service window. The user just had to wait a little bit for the document to be delivered to them. These innovations were largely the result of applying a user-centered design approach. From the very beginning of the project, we put ourselves on the side and with the user. We did interviews. We followed users on their customer journey. We carried out surveys. We found that users had a very good disposition towards the consulates. They cared a lot about the documents that they were going to get, but they hated some of the characteristics of the process. They hated uncertainty, useless waiting, disorder. Being charged for useless copies and photos outside of the consulate was something that they loathed. Or even worse, being charged by an intermediary to speed up the process. So once we had done that, we had our mission. Our mission was to improve the process for users, reduce clutter, queues, waiting, useless extra costs. It was indeed a very successful project. It was through this project, the ministry was able to reduce waiting times for an appointment from 6 months to less than 3 days on average. The physical waiting time went from several hours to less than 15 minutes. And the total time between when you arrived at the consulate and when you left the consulate with your document went down from between 4 to 6 hours to just 45 minutes on average.